So we're going to do a hands-on science experiment here that has to do with our theme unit on matter. And today we're going to be mixing some substances together which start off as a liquid and become a more viscous liquid, meaning almost like a solid but stretchy and movable. We're actually going to make silly putty. And it says the summary is we're going to make silly putty and understand that the chemical reaction that makes it and the chemistry of its behavior. We have a list of materials here, things like white glue and some borax, which is like a soap mixture detergent, this white powder. And we've got some Dixie cups and some mixing cups and a stir stick to mix everything. We have, very important, our measuring spoons, especially the teaspoon and the tablespoon. So there's our tablespoon and here's our teaspoon. We'll be making use of both the tablespoon and the teaspoon here as well. And we're going to need some water, some measuring cups. Later on we'll need a little plastic bag to put our silly putty in. So let's get started. I'm going to mix up a class batch of it first, so I have quite a lot, enough to do, say, 20 students. Okay, so in following the directions it says make about 1 to 1 of white glue, enough for 2 tablespoons of the mixture for each student. So I have 20 students in my class. What I did is I made a big batch that had 20 tablespoons of white glue and 20 tablespoons of water mixed into it, and I stirred it all up. That's going to give me a mixture that will allow me to have 2 tablespoons per student. So there's 1, and here's our second tablespoon going in there. So now I have a little mixture that is 2 tablespoons in here of the glue and water mixture. And the next thing it wants me to do is make my 2 teaspoons. So here's a teaspoon measurement, 2 teaspoons of the borax. That's our white powdered soap. So a teaspoon is quite a small amount. It's only that much, just a very small amount. And that's going to go into 2 entire cups of water. And I actually boiled the water so that it would really dissolve in there. And there's my 2 cups. This is a measuring cup that's 2 cups with just the 2 little teaspoons of borax in there. And it's all dissolved, so it just looks like clear water right now. So we've done 2 tablespoons of the white glue and water mixture into this Dixie cup. And now we're going to do 1 tablespoon of the borax solution into another Dixie cup. So here's our 1 tablespoon of the borax into that Dixie cup. We're going to ask you guys to pour the borax into the white glue. There we go. And then we're going to stir it up. So once we have the 2 mixtures together in this cup, we start to stir it, and right away you can see it starts to become thicker and gooey, and you got to stir it for a long time. This is actually a chemical reaction that's occurring. It's starting to make some squeaky sounds now as I stir it. Okay, and once it's stirred up like that, you've actually got silly putty, and you can pull it out with your fingers. And you can start to play around with it. And there we go. We've got silly putty. Later on I can put my silly putty into a plastic bag to take it home. For now, I'm just going to keep playing with it. Okay, well, creating The silly putty is one part of the job here. Now we have to do the other part, which is on the back of our work page. So let's get our name up there. It says silly putty, and the materials were white glue, water, some containers, borax, some Dixie cups, a stir stick, and a baggie to hold it in. And it asks us the procedure, what we did. So let's write down what we did. We can say we mixed white glue and water with borax, and I'll give it a capital B because it's actually a name brand, borax and water, and we stirred. Okay, the next part asks us our observation, what we saw and learned. So we can say we saw the mixture become thick. So we saw that mixture become thick, right? And now you can see it here. It takes the shape of the container, but it's much thicker than just water. Right? It's become silly putty. And in fact, summary, we can say a chemical reaction changed the liquids to silly putty. We'll give those capitals because that's like a name brand. There we go. So now we filled out our worksheet telling us what we did, what we saw, and a summary of what actually happened. It's silly putty. It's fun. Oh, look at that. It even picks up the ink. Cool.